Hey guys, I wanted to go over another hand that I played on Global Poker recently. Uh, I think I played it correctly, but you could make the argument that I actually misplayed part of it. But um, I I thought it was somewhat interesting because, as you'll see, I had a pretty strong holding. So let's start the hand. So I'm dealt King Queen uh, suited in the big blind. I was gonna use Global's website, but it wasn't working, and then I tried to use another website, and they wouldn't let the big blind have last action. So, so here's the villain. He limps. We get a few. You get the button limp, and we get the small blind limp. So I raised to $1. I think this is actually pretty standard. I would not check King Queen here, especially against you're you're only in position against one player. Um, King Queen is too strong. It's ahead of all their limping ranges, and I think King Queen plays better actually heads up than it does um, multi-way. Even though it is technically a suited connector, I think this warrants a raise. So I make it $1, and the open limper is the only caller. And we see a flop, and we flop. Oops, and we flop top two with no flush draw. Um, entered his perceived range here. Um, and this is why you should um, raise preflop and not limp because your range is capped. As you can see, ace he doesn't have aces, ace king, kings, king queen, ace jack, any of these premium hands, pocket queens, pocket jacks, pocket tens. I put in pocket nines, but I think that's a little bit um, generous. I actually would might cap this at like sevens, maybe eights. I am generous. I'm generous in general with people's ranges because theory crafting ranges are is it's all theory anyways. So you'll see that he has a lot of the suited broadways, unsuited broadways, all the pocket pairs, and I put in a lot of the suited aces up to ace nine, but I think again that's generous. Probably ace seven suited, ace six, ace five. It's probably more like his range here. So the flop comes king queen six. We flop top two, and I'm out of position. So I do what I think I'm gonna get some heat for, and I check, and he checks. Now the reason for my check and not for which most people would probably bet about 1/3 pot here is because I don't think his range is strong enough to continue anything. Yeah, there's all. Oh, I'm sorry. There's all the connectors here that could connect to King Queen, like Jack 10, maybe 9 10 with the gutter, but like it's really only Jack 10. Like only Jack 10. Um in if he has a gutter, I'm okay with checking it and hoping he hits another pair. The thing about flopping two pair versus a set is that combinatorically there's not enough combinations of hands for him to really have a king or a queen. So that's why I elected to check, even though I think a lot of my poker friends should say you should bet like 1/3 or maybe even a half pot. But I still think that's a little. I still think checking is okay. He checks back. Turn is an 8, bringing a flush draw. I don't know why this keeps doing this. And I bet 1.8 into 3, which is almost 2/3. I'm sorry, the pot is not $3, is it? Yeah. Which is almost 2/3. It's a little bit less than 2/3 because again, his range is he can't have that much. So I bet a little bit less than 2/3. Um, like he could have pocket sixes. He could have a weak king. He could even have like queen 10. he could even have queen eight. I think queen eight raises here. Um, maybe. I think queen eight should call here, but he calls anyways. So now his range. Let's go over his range. So you can throw out. I mean, I would throw out any of the king queens. Um, all the kings are kind of uh, all the kings are kind of out of there because, like I said, combinatorically, there's not enough kings in the deck. Although, so I'll throw him out, even though you shouldn't do this. Um, so he's got sixes. He could have pocket eights. Uh, so he could have a lot of these suited hands. I probably I'm not gonna go over this too in depthly. I think having an exact range is not like the worst thing in the world, but a lot of it is that he hit. We won't use the range calculator, but a lot of it is that he has eights. He has an eight. He has pocket sixes. He has some weak king, which I highly doubt. He might have like king 10, king. I think king 10 bets this flop. I think all the strong kings bet the flop. Um, which is why I think his range is some kind of queen 9, queen 10, queen jack, which probably bet anyways. The flop. Pocket sixes, pocket eights, maybe 8 10, 9 8, ace 8 suited, etc. The river's another 8. Not a great card for my range because, like I said, kings and queens combinatorically are just not likely. So he's left with pocket sixes, the eights, and maybe some weird weak queen. He could have queen eight. He could very much have queen eight. Um, so I decided to check, which I know some people say, bet half, like bet, half, maybe $3 or $4, and fold to a raise. But in my opinion, I think I should let him bet here because his range is too. A lot of the run out kind of smacks his range so much that um, I'm just gonna get exploitively raised. He could raise with almost anything here, and I have to fold. I thought that bet folding was just too much of an exploitative play by him. If he's a competent enough player, which he probably isn't. I'm probably giving him too much of the benefit of the doubt, but I think I could. I think the best play actually is to see is based on bet sizing because online, especially at global poker, I realize like with this metagame is big bets, over bets, pot size bets, 99.9. I would even say 100. I don't think I've ever seen a pot size bet or bigger that wasn't for straight value is is like a nutted hand. So he bets the pot, and like I said, I believe bet folding wasn't the best play because he could exploitably bet with almost any two cards left in his range, and I have to fold. Here, if he bets, I can make a read based on bet sizing. He bets pot. That's always a boat or always trips. There's no in between. It's not air. I've been playing at these stakes for, the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I've played thousands of hands. I don't think I've ever seen a pot size bet or higher that wasn't straight value nutted hand. When he bets pot, I just fold. I fold top two. I think it had to have been done. Tell me if you think I misplayed the hand. I know the check on the flop was kind of iffy because he's got so many broadways, but I would bet my life that he has a boat of sixes full, or he has queen eight So eights full of queens, or just some random eight hand. I mean, I would bet $1,000,000. So I make what I think is a pretty easy fold in folding top two here. And I think it's the kind of plays you have to make if you want to beat poker in general, but especially the online stakes. Did I misplay the hand? I don't know. Let me know.